choice. Okay, done. And I think it gives you a chance to bail if you don't want to be part of the recording. But does anyone want to say a quick hello, maybe where you're from and why you're here, and we'll jump in.
I'll go. I'm sorry I don't have video. I'm kind of moving around today, but my name is Janelle Johnson. I have attended a couple webinars. I recognize Becky. Everyone else looks new to me, but I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm interested in the professional coaching. So I'm just kind of sitting in to see if this is where I should be. I always feel like I should be here after the webinars. So that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. Hi, Janelle. Who would like to jump in next?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Michelle.
My name is Michelle. I live in Maryland, not from there, but currently live there, from Florida originally, and I am in the process of setting up a coaching business, although I keep putting it off. And so these kinds of webinars help me with just narrowing in and really focusing in on what do I really want to do and where am I most gifted and where does it make most sense. So I'm excited.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else want to do a shout out?
Hi, everybody.
Jump in.
I'm Becky McKay. I'm from Texas, and I could almost ditto what you just said, Michelle. So I am pursuing my professional coaching certificate, and I'm currently a director of human resources. So I want to use it with my employee relations aspect of my current position while also starting a business and eventually being self-sufficient in a business. And my company is very innovative. And so that could even open up an opportunity to be a consultant down the road for them. So I'm very excited about the opportunities that will be opened up. So nice to meet everyone.
Yeah. Anyone else want to do a quick introduction?
Is it automatic? Do people hear me automatically? Anyway, I'm Katarina.
Yeah.
Kati for some that have known me in the past. I have an architectural design business that I've been doing for 8 years, and I've been doing design for 30. And things have slowed down, like for many of us over the last year and a half. And so projects are kind of trickling, and it has triggered in me kind of the desire to think, how not only could coaching help me deal with my clients, because I have to coach them a lot. It's actually much more psychology than one would expect when you create houses and homes for people. And yep, and the business side of it. And I'm also thinking in the near to midterm future, what can I do that I could do from anywhere in the world with anybody that is not literally as brick and mortar as what I'm doing right now. So I'm curious to see. And then I found that of all people, Ferocia is offering these great courses. So I'm dropping in to see what you got.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else want to do a quick shout out? And if you wanted to just say hi in the chat box, that's okay too. But yeah, it looks like Brooke's coming in.
I'll say hi.
Hi,
my name is Cheryl Fassett. I'm sorry, I have no video today. And I live in Binghamton, New York. I am currently a practice manager of a medical practice, and I kind of coach everyone in my group on a daily basis. I do all of their HR, all of their scheduling, all of their hiring, all of their everything. And it's kind of an unstable position, actually, even though I've been there 25 years, because all of the private groups are getting bought by hospitals and all of that. So I'm kind of exploring my options, and I became interested in possibly pursuing a coaching business on my own, on the side, or maybe in place of what I do. And so I'm here to just kind of dip my toe in and see what it's all about.
Beautiful. Thanks, Cheryl. And I see Neil's come in and Margaret and Brooke. Anybody else want to say a quick hello? Or otherwise, if you wouldn't mind, just say hello in the chat so we kind of know who you are. Hey, Neil. Perfect. Neil, we can't hear a word you're saying. I think you're muted. That's our favorite thing
Sorry
to say
about
around here.
that,
You're
yeah.
muted.
No, I was just saying that
Yeah, we just did a wrap.
yeah,
ahead.
I had a hard time getting on from the website. I had to go to the link that you sent me in the email to get onto this. For some reason, it's not working from the website. So
Oh, weird.
yeah,
Okay, it's the same link, so that's kind of scary. And I am having a really bad time with Zoom today. So I don't know if it's me and Zoom but I'm glad you can make it. And so
Right.
that being said, if for some reason I freeze, don't hang up, I will come back. But Zoom knocked me off I had a class this morning and it knocked me off like 4 times. It was super frustrating. And everyone was talking. I'm like, it's just me. And then our internet's fine. But yeah. So, well, what I'd love to do is kind of so you know what to expect. I'm going to put on some slides. I'm going to talk a little bit, but I would love to get us talking as well. And if we have time, we might do a little bit of a breakout where you guys can kind of connect with a short little exercise I have. And so I am recording. I do have a few people that have asked me to share the recording later. And that being said, I'm going to put my little screen share on, which is working. Woohoo! It wasn't working earlier either. So today's topic is really about choosing your ideal coaching niche. And in full transparency, I'm going to scrape the surface, but my goal is to leave you with some really good things to think about around how you can bring coaching and infuse your whole self into it so that you can really make change that's meaningful to you and those you want to take care of as a coach. And one of the reasons I feel this is so important is when I became a coach, I just jumped in because I loved it. Someone told me I should become a coach. I hired one. I was like, I want to do what they do. And I didn't think twice about a niche, which is really amusing when your background is marketing. But I surfed around about 5 different niches before I found my home zone. And being that I was in marketing, it meant I built my website, I got myself out there. And then I even discovered, the training I had gone to really went work with the people I wanted to serve. So this is really important to me and hopefully informational and useful for you guys. And so our agenda is essentially, I want to talk a little bit about leveraging your experience and expertise into coaching, and that's going to kind of be a theme. I also want to kind of take out one of the myths around, business coaches and executive coaches make more money than life coaches, or, relationship coaches make more money than spiritual, because I'll talk about what clients really pay for. So my hope is that you realize that who you want to help and how you want to help becomes really valuable to anyone. Now, that being said, there will be those times if someone says, I want to help people that are survivors or coming out of addictions. In general, if your ideal client base is really kind of getting back onto their feet, or maybe things, rebuilding financially, there are models where you can make a lot of money serving that audience, but it's not going to be one-on-one. Just because that person is not going to value, they're not going to need your help as a coach unless you've got something you're really pairing in that moment. But I just find I did a lot of work with cancer survivors, and their attention in the coaching, interestingly enough, wasn't so much on their self and their life. It was more about their health and wellness. And so that was a group of people who would normally, you'd say, well, I'm not sure if there's coaching, if that would be important to them. But I built programs about, I called it Getting Back to You, and it really was a beautiful program that some of the hospitals took on. I built it for them. And the whole idea was I wanted to find a model that was sustainable for the people that were going to take it. So long-winded way of saying that we're going to talk about what clients pay for, and some of us might be serving populations where our business model might also compensate that. I'm going to bring up a couple websites of a few of our graduates and just talk about what they came in with and what they ended up with, just so you guys get some inspiration. And then we're going to dive into a mini exercise on how you can create your own self-defined niche. And for those of you that are not already students, I'll talk just ever so briefly about our full Discover You program, where we really roll up our sleeves and we really dig into like a coaching workshop to get really clear on your niche and perfect it. And then if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. So that's our agenda. I love being interrupted. I know most people would never say that, but sometimes I can't see you. So just go, hey, Frosha, I have a question, and I will stop. So I wanted to, actually, I'm going to do a health break. I've been talking all morning. Get a little water in here. A lot of people, when they say, you know, what's your niche? A lot of people will say, I'm a life coach, I'm a wellness coach, I'm a career coach, and fill in the blank. And I like to think about that as that really doesn't tell anyone who you help or what you do. It's kind of a generic niche or an umbrella niche. And it's a great classification for us to kind of orient ourselves. But when I think about a niche, what I'm really thinking about is getting clear on what you specialize in as a coach. And that's really about who you help. And those are your ideal clients. Like I'll just use myself for example. In my private practice, I help what I call spiritual entrepreneurs. What I help them with is to become unshakably who they are and visible in the spotlight. So you can imagine I help people to get on stage, to speak up, to write books, you know, to become more of a public figure. And, you know, how I help them is I have a signature process that I developed that I coach around. So I actually have a model I use around visibility, and I'm not going to go into the details about that, but the whole idea is that I have certain topics that I feel are really vital to supporting people around, and my clients bring in all the rest. And so what happens is while coaching is really about helping the client figure things out, I have a little bit of an orientation in how I help people that gets us started on a fast track. And then I really blend how I coach with really helping them to figure out what they need, get those needs met. And then I infuse it a little bit in terms of shaping what I would call my coaching model. And so some of the things I'm hoping you guys walk away with ideas of like what that could look like for you. The other thing I want to say is there's a big myth around you have to be in a niche that's called X coaching, you know, and I find that in our more modern world that most of us will have what we would call a gateway, a doorway where someone comes in to work with us. Ironically, because I help mostly spiritual entrepreneurs, I also attract a lot of leaders, a lot of business owners, people that want to become bigger in their presence online or on a stage because they need that for their marketing. So ultimately what I help people to do is get seen, discovered, and get clients. But what I end up doing, even though they would probably call me a business coach, almost all of my work is life coaching. And often I get brought in around relationship coaching, you know, rarely do I end up in career coaching, but it's usually a combination of visibility that comes back to life coaching. How do I create the time, the space? How do I speak up for myself? You know, how do I get healthy so I feel great on camera? You know, oh my God, my wife is really challenged by my busy schedule, or my partner is upset because, you know, we're traveling all the time because of my book. So I end up kind of what I would say in a niche combination, but I market myself mostly under the bigger umbrella business coaching, and in particular, people who want to get clients by showing their best self in a broader and more visible way. So think about for a moment, like what kind of niches really excite you? Life coaching is really about addressing the person's whole life. But the problem is most people don't realize this. Even if you go to a financial coach or you go to an executive coach, if that's kind of the area that you first move into with someone, it's usually what under that umbrella, I should say, what under that umbrella that they're coaching around. And it's not uncommon that you will see coaches that will do maybe business and leadership coaching and maybe nonprofit coaching. So they're working with two different audiences, or they do life coaching and they specialize in relationship coaching, or they do financial coaching and they work life coaching into it. So there's a lot of different ways to market it. But my interest is that you pick what you want to do in the broad stroke and then get specific with who you help and how you help and with what you help these people with. And that becomes your niche. So I just want to pause for a moment. Is there any questions that come up or any comments, anything resonating? And just jump in. Anyone?
This
Anyone
is
feel like they
Janelle.
might have a, thank you.
Sorry. No, I'm just
Go ahead,
glad that
Janelle.
you said that because I am interested in the life, spiritual, and relationship. I've worked in corporate America and I have a master's of management, and my undergrad is business and criminal justice. And I've worked in corporate, and I just want to get away from the whole business, you know. So the other side, I'm glad there are so many other areas that you can, you know, specialize in outside of that.
Yeah.
That leadership and career.
I
I
love
don't
it.
want to go.
I hear that. Yeah. You know, the beautiful thing about coaching though is if you were a business coach, and I'm certainly saying not that's what you should do, I guarantee you, if the trust is there, your clients are going to bring you everything else. And that's why I always giggle when someone says, well, shouldn't I figure out my niche? And it's like, no, you should figure out how to make that transformation and how to bring it in a way that's authentic to you and leverages your potential, because it's not going to matter when trust is there. People will share everything about themselves and move that focus into different areas of their life. And, you know, like I said, I do business coaching, but most of it's life and relationships underneath it. You know, it's kind of the bigger barriers. And when I used to do conflict and communications coaching, you might imagine it was almost all relationship coaching, but they liked it being called communication and conflict. Anyone else want to share a perspective?
Felicia, this is Neil. I guess my
Yeah.
question is, you know, when you get into, when you start talking about other aspects of the person's life, and they come to you for a certain, you know, certain niche, a specialty, and then if they bring other topics and you give them your insights and your guidance, how much of credibility do you have to help them really solve those other aspects of their life, and how does that work?
I love this question. So I know that you have a really strong background in finance. And that means that you can share a lot of experience and advice from that perspective. But let's say if I came to you and I was having a challenge with, say, like my fiance. As a coach, what you can offer me is a process that helps me to figure it out for myself. And so what you'll end up leveraging isn't just your experience and the advice and wisdom you've gained over the years, but you offer me a process that you're going to help me to kind of learn about myself, self-discover, generate that awareness, create different perspectives, or what we would call fresh approaches, and so that I can think about and respond to my challenges in a different way just from the process itself.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that, you know, you're kind of helping them think about a framework to be able to figure that out themselves. But I guess I go back to, well, why would they listen to you? They're going to say that you're not really an expert on that. I should probably go to another expert who can help me. I just don't know. But I guess it goes back to trust, right? You're talking about trust. They have to trust you enough that they will at least keep their mind open.
Absolutely. And I think of trust as the glue, because when someone really trusts someone else, they'll start the boundaries of, I need this person to be an expert changes. And I love to think about this. Have you ever given someone advice and then they go talk to a friend and they tell you exactly what you've been telling them as if they thought it themselves?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience? Becky's giving me the yes.
Well, it happens with teenage children, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go back and they come back with whatever you had told them before, but hearing from somebody else, it makes more sense. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, the number one thing I've been told the most is, my clients will go, I trust you more than almost everybody in my life. You know me more than anybody. And I always feel a little sad because I think, oh my gosh. And then I realize what an honor that someone feels that safe with me. And that's why we create such a sacred space and a courageous container for people to change. But there's something that happens when someone really feels safe to be around it. And then
Right.
from a neurobiological level, then we can go like, oh, I'm just going to figure this out with this person. And so that need to have the psychologist that specializes in X kind of goes out the door, and then the person themselves becomes the expert. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a
And
question.
thank you. Yeah.
So do your
Yeah.
students learn being the whole person? And if you're doing the professional, do you learn all of these that are on the screen, and then you specialize and you have a niche that you specialize in, but you have knowledge of all of these? Is that how it works?
Well, how it works is you'll learn how to coach in any of these areas by working with the core level of change. And so like if someone came to me, like I had someone the other day and they just said, I'm feeling like I want to retire. I want a more meaningful life. I want a spiritual practice, and, my spiritual background is probably very different than what theirs might be. I didn't have to know everything about what their spiritual background was, because we cultivated a process where they could answer those for themselves. So I think one of the misnomers is that there's a particular process that works for relationship coaching, a process that works for spiritual coaching, a process when what happens is coaching at the whole person level is you're working with their thoughts, their feelings, their beliefs, their relationships in terms of their relationship to themselves and other people. And I could keep going on. And when you can work at that level, it doesn't matter what context, like relationships is one aspect of a person's life. Health and wellness is another. There's certainly going to be like data, that will help someone, especially if you're doing like finance or health and wellness, but most of the coaching is going to come from a deeper level, and it's going to apply in different areas of someone's life as well. I feel like I need a picture to show this. I'm doing it out here. So, yeah, does that help?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Awesome. So let's go ahead and move on. So as I mentioned, I wanted to introduce you a couple people, and I just honestly randomly picked these guys because I know one of the benefits of doing what we do, we get to know people here. And so I'm going to switch my screen. And so the first person I want to introduce you to is Frida. And some of you may know her, maybe you don't, but Frida is in South Africa. She's originally from England, if I remember right. But Frida examples someone who wanted to get out of her corporate world, working as an attorney, and help other attorneys. So she's an example of someone who took her experience and expertise and saw the big problem of life balance and the challenges of being an attorney and climbing the ladder and the family issues and the lack of time and the lack of health. And she created her own company called Braving Boundaries to kind of break that mold in the legal. Now, this is an example of someone whose past career, she's like, I don't want to be this person, but I still love this particular field, but I want to come back and help them. And what's great about it is she just partnered with a couple other coaches, and now they actually are building a coaching firm to be able to help more legal professionals. And so an example again, and I'll go open to Fausta. Fausta is another person, and she is a therapist that came back to help other therapists, and in particular, trauma therapists, and of course, organizations that do a lot of trauma therapy. So she's working not only with other therapists, but the providers, their bosses, their managers, their HR department, to bring more care back to the therapist. So again, both with like Frida and Fausta, is they're coming back to serve people they care about, that they know about from their experience. I'm gonna click over here. I might point up. Okay. Now this is Zora Gal. I'm gonna move my screen up in here. So Zora Gal works in a large corporation, and on the side, she's got this real beautiful spiritual self. So she's someone who's going, you know, I've been doing this corporate thing, but I'm going to strike out on a different path. And so she has cultivated coaching and coaching programs around really helping people to find their own spiritual growth path. And so really beautiful website that she's done. And it's fun because I know Zora Gal from her corporate world, but she said, I'm going to bring the rest of me into my coaching. I like reading tarot. I like Reiki. I like doing energy healing. And I want to help with life coach, and in particular, empaths, you know, people that tend to be a little bit more tuned in or sensitive, you know, and you can tell like she's done her homework because you really get an idea of who she helps with what and how, you know, a good example. And of course, she's got this really soft website, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and go like judging websites because I just want to introduce the people, but Zora Gal is an example of someone who said, I'm not going to continue on the path of my corporate career. I'm going to strike out somewhere else. You know, Teresa Rodden, oops, she's got some good marketing coming up here. So when Teresa first came into coaching, she was doing health and wellness. And the reason I'm bringing her up is she went through coaching, said, I love health and wellness. And then she really further niched into helping women in particular go from drinking to finding other ways to support themselves. And so she doesn't do like traditional Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, she just says there's this in-between phase. And so she's gone crazy, written multiple books. She speaks, she does all kinds of great things, has a community. And as you can tell, she's someone who was originally, she worked in a lot of multi-level marketing, went into health and wellness, and then just said, no, I want to help the people that really matter to me. So she kind of refined her niche, you know, to a place where she said, you know, I feel like a lot of women could use support in this in-between phase. And that's what she brought to life in her niche. And then I noticed I only grabbed one guy here. Frank here, Frank Vaughn, he actually lives in Eugene, Oregon. He's about 100 miles south of me. But Frank works as basically doing organizational leadership develop in-house. And Frank has finally figured out that he's got this secret love where he's doing two niches. He's still doing his coaching in the corporate arena. He works in a public utilities type environment, you know, does some great work. You know, there's multiple people that we've got who are doing the executive business and leadership coaching, but he's actually helping a population because he can, that is really what we would call on the edge of making a breakthrough. And so he tends to help the people that want to go from surviving to thriving without going into like this, you know, striving mode. And so he's doing some really beautiful heart work, but he's also realizing he wants it all. He wants to do the corporate, you know, we're going to solve these problems, we're going to champion to greater leadership, but then he's also helping people on the ground to lead their life in more effective and improved ways and helping them to find their way. And so these are just a couple of the people within our community. I mean, I have seen everything from, you know, the tarot reader to start, you know, doing exotic retreats in Brazil. I've seen the corporate person. I'm actually thinking of someone right now, Ariel, and I think Ariel is officially on baby leave, which is so exciting. She came through our program about 5 years ago, doing in-house coaching, ended up developing a coaching program, so coaching the coaches to coach their clients in health and wellness for a company called Curvo. And of course, Weight Watchers bought them. So she immediately got into this big swimming pool, you know, in a really beautiful way. And, you know, a couple other of our students I'm just thinking about, again, we're working inside corporate, left corporate, came back, and I kind of think, Becky, you kind of hinted that. Now they have the Dream Life laptop consulting their old company, you know, so they have like the familiarity, the trust, but then they don't have the 9 to 5. And so that, you know, and they're like, well, this is great. It's like having a paycheck on my terms. And so there's a lot of different ways you can work. Melanie McCloskey is another person I'm just thinking of. She's someone who really loves doing business growth and marketing for people, but she loves to work with very holistic people. So her process is actually incorporate more of what I would say a healer feeling, as opposed to maybe my approach that can be a little bit more strategic. you know, my whole point is you get to define who you help, how you help, and what it looks like, and not be confined by, I'm going to do this umbrella. You know, another pattern we're seeing is a lot of coaching firms are operating, I should say, opening up right now. And so a lot of our students are going, okay, you know, I want to get really good skills as a coach so I can work with different coaching firms, you know, and they're working for 2 or 3 of them as an independent coach. And so that's another strategy I like to think about is, you know, you get out of training while you're developing your business, especially if you're doing like the Coachpreneur pathway, you know, you can start working for coaching firms. So you're continuing to grow yourself as the coach, getting income while you build your business. So I want to pause there before I move on and just see, did anything come up? Any questions?
I have
Anyone?
one. So all of these that you
Please.
just showed us, these were people that went through your program.
They are.
Did they do Coachpreneur where you taught them how to build the business?
Let's see. I have to look at who. So Frank is currently in the Coachpreneur. Teresa graduated so long ago that we didn't have the Coachpreneur. We had a different. Frida went through Coachpreneur. Let me see who's. Zora Gale did not. She went through the professional, and Fausto went through Coachpreneur. So basically, about 4 out of 5.
So you helped them build the websites and everything in Coachpreneur?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
I love marketing. Becky's cracking up. She knows that. Hello. Don't get me turned on to marketing talk, please. And I just want to say something that was really funny because I'm hearing you totally when I say this. I hated marketing so much when I left and moved into coaching. I wanted out of it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And what I realized was I hated doing the work for everyone. But I love coaching other people to figure it out because I'm not sitting behind the computer doing the work, but I'm inspiring and getting inspired every time by my clients. So that made me suddenly love marketing at a really different way. So, yeah.
I have a
Anyone
lot of
else? Go ahead.
respect. I just wanted to say, Ferocia, I have a lot of respect for marketing. Oh my goodness, we're so fortunate. We have a communications team. They do all of our branding, public relations. I can't even speak enough about it. It's so critical and it's critical for all of us in what we're doing as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do now that I'm not sitting behind the computer. Yeah, don't get me into SEO. I love SEO too. But the beautiful thing about marketing is it's all learnable and it can be really, really fun. You just have to take out the part that feels icky. So yeah, cool. All right. So we met a couple of people, and like I said, I could certainly go on and on, but let's make this about you. So what do clients really pay for? And I'm going to tell you a little story of something that just blew my mind. Years ago, I went to an event. I am a learnaholic, and I went to an event, and one of the gals I met, she had the most coolest spiritual woo-woo thing going on. And my mind went right to, how on earth do you make money doing that? And so I asked her boldly, and I said, so, you know, how's your business going? And she says, I just broke $35,000 a month last year. Now, that's a lot of money. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, put the foot in the mouth, because seriously, she knew something I didn't know. And my biggest barrier was believing that someone couldn't make money with that. And that's my whole point. It's like people buy connections. When someone interviews you, whether you're on a website, whether you are doing a one-on-one sales call, anytime someone actually, you know, comes through, you know, your funnel is what we call it, they're really looking to trust, like, and respect you. And so that's what a lot of your marketing and sales and your, you know, public profile really starts to develop. And certainly that's part of marketing. But I like to think about it as, if someone could be making $35,000 a month doing something pretty obscure that I'd never heard about, you know, then pretty much anyone can, you know, because everybody in her audience really loved her. And I'm sure you're wanting to know what she did. And one of her tricks was she created a YouTube channel where she just kept being present to people. But what I've found also really works is if you can generate results every time with your clients. And so that's really the important reason why we train to become coaches, is we can become that instrument of change. And so when someone comes, they're stuck, you know, we can figure out ways to work with them. And so we can pivot our thinking or our process or even how we're showing up so that they can generate that result. And then you become the person they refer other people to. You become the person that they give 5 stars and great testimonials for. And your reputation will buy you lots of credit. You know, that being said, some people will write books, like Teresa had mentioned. You know, she's pretty introverted, but when she gets on stage, she can definitely talk. But the idea is that, you know, when you generate results, people talk about you. And you become a, you know, hopefully not a best kept secret, because you want them to talk about you and refer you. But there's lots of ways to get your clients, once you've worked with them, to become some of your greatest champions, or what we call ambassadors. And strangely enough, what a lot of people will buy is your personality, your perspective, your point of view, whether they align with how you think about things. Do they sound like they would get you? I mean, that's what your client's saying. Does this potential coach, would they get me? Would they understand my problems? Would they understand my needs? And, you know, it kind of comes right back to the trust, but they're also like, do I really want to hang out with this person? And so if you think about it, you know, building connection, you know, creating that trust, like, and respect, that's going to come from not only your life experience, your history, but what also you put out there in terms of your marketing, what the content you share. The results of reputation is going to come from you being in action, and your personality is going to come through when you're your true and authentic self. You know, someone said once, well, if someone has a personality that's kind of rough or gruff around the edges, are they going to get a lot of clients? And my favorite thing to say is, well, I met that person and he had a lot of clients. There's always someone or someone else. And so the idea would be is that you're putting yourself out there in a way that people can kind of relate to you. But then when you work with them, that's when the magic unfolds. And I see this all the time. Really masterful marketers go out there, they get a lot of clients, and then they under deliver, and then they get a bad rep, and then they have to change their business model. But we don't need to do that. You know, so let's talk about how you might create your own self-defined niche. And so the first thing I like to think about is, what is it that you have from your life, whether it's your passions, your experience, your knowledge, your skills, you know, those are kind of the tangible things. Or is it something you've accomplished that maybe other people want to accomplish? You know, what is it that you want to bring into coaching? And let's forget about who we want to serve, but like, what if you were to take, you know, an inventory of your life and say, I'd like to bring this and this and this into my work, what would you say for yourself? And then start to map it to who might need this or who might want this. And then later, what you would do is you'd start, and that's where the coaching comes in, is you come up with your way of evoking change, your process. And so one of the things I wanted us to do is, let's do a miniature breakout. And why don't you, with your partner, and your partner's job is just to listen, and you can share, this is who I'd like to help. This is, or what I'd like to help with, what problem you'd like to solve, or what opportunity you'd like to create with. And then I don't expect anyone to be able to answer the how you would help right now, because, you know, that would come a little bit later. But let's just do a little quick share and pair, if that sounds okay with you all, and just see what comes up. Sound good? Okay, so if you are new to Zoom, which I don't know if anybody's new to Zoom anymore. Oh my goodness. How come I can't see breakout rooms? This is frustrating. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, it showed up. So what I'm going to do is we'll break out for 9 whole minutes. You'll probably get 1 or 2 people in your group. And if you guys would both share, that would be fabulous. Or I should say, it looks like I may have a couple of groups of 3. So the idea would be is just to share like who you might want to help or what you might help with, and see what we might learn from each other. And I'll come in on the background of our groups. you should be able to join the room by clicking the link on the page.
I hate that noise. Recording, does it come really loud on you too? Yeah, gotta fix that. Well, I would love to hear if anyone would like to share a highlight from your conversation or a question or anything. I got Derek. I popped in a little bit there, but I didn't want to disrupt you. Yeah. Anyone? Pretty quick little introduction. I saw Michelle Kochi. Yeah. Why are you hiding your face with the whole?
I can't help it. I have all these questions that start coming to mind, and I'm like, oh, what about this?
You were giving your partner a workout. Get on this. Get thinking. So
Yeah, you almost sounded like a coach yourself. You sounded like,
coaching yourself.
no, she sounded like a coach, a professional coach who's actually giving me a session actually.
Score.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Russia, can we quickly hear the remaining answer for Katie? She was telling us who and what, but we didn't finish it, like cut us off.
Yes, if as long as she's okay sharing that with you.
No, that's absolutely fine. So the who was adolescents, so tweens, teens, and young adults. And I guess the what is to transition from teenhood into adulthood, basically, simply put. That's sort of what I'm playing with at the moment. And their families. Yeah, they're carers, because teenagehood is hard for everybody. I'm currently raising 3, so.
Ooh. I love your niche, Katie. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share what they think they know about their niche, knowing that this is just a tasting point? It's like a little taster. Yeah. Neil, did you want to share? Your frame lit up.
Are you talking to me?
I am talking to you.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, as I was telling Michelle, I think, I want to focus on the concept of wealth and finding purpose for wealth, especially in people who are, even if they're just starting out or they're, mid-level or they're, extremely wealthy, is how do you, I come from a wealth management, financial advisory background. So I've seen some of the, the short-sightedness when you look at money and seeing that, there's a lot more to money and wealth than I think people might be thinking through things as they go through life. And so finding purpose for life, finding ways to define it and be able to, find purpose and find, which ultimately ends up, because wealth and money is such an important part of people's lives, that it impacts other aspects of their life, whether it's relationships, whether it's, their kids, whether it's philanthropy. So working with all those different areas to help figure out, be able to make an impact on people's lives through the channel of wealth. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah. And I'm hearing wealth coaching with a whole lot of life coaching. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Beautiful. And that's a great example of kind of the gateway I talked about. People will come with an area of interest, and then you get to coach the whole person and their whole life. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else feel like they want to share?
So I'm Becky, and some of the things that I had learned about myself early on, and I was very fortunate to be able to be an HR consultant. First week on the job, I had come from HR management. I was sharing with our team that I was called into a sales meeting. The sales rep didn't really know me, but I had called all the sales reps to introduce myself, to find out about the clients that I would be servicing. because they brought those clients on. And so I wanted to find out their hot button issues, what's going on with them, all of those things. I got called into a sales meeting. The sales rep knew me from nowhere. And later I found out there was not a good relationship between HR and sales, because HR is usually very policy driven, very yes, no, that sort of thing. And I was able to put on a consulting hat. And so I began asking questions about, and it was the CEO and VP we met with, where do you want to be in 2 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And began to talk to them about how we would be an investment, not a cost, and how I could help them reach their bottom line through developing job descriptions. So one of the weaknesses through the SWOT questions, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, I found out that their sales quotas weren't where they needed to be. Well, do you have a job description for that? Or your sales on a commission base plan? And they were paying their salespeople $100,000 a year. I said, well, let's look at maybe moving to a commission-based salary plan, to motivate. Anyway, long story short, we closed the deal. So I was able to do that, providing HR services and how we could connect that. So my niche, I believe, and I've been able to use all of these things through my experience in HR, but I'm a very strategic thinker, helping leaders become more collaborative, getting buy-in from team members, helping develop team members, empowering them in their positions. And so those are kind of the niches that I feel that I would be able to bring to an organization. So.
Yeah. Well, what I love is you're talking about lived experience where you got to see what is possible, and now you can coach people to replicate their version of that success as well. Yeah. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, I want to honor our time, and I will hang out if there are any questions that anyone has. But I did want to give a shout out in a few weeks. Some of you already know this because you're coming. But we have what's called our Discover You class, and I'll put our little pretty picture up here. I always forget my graphics here. And it's July 7th. It's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific. It's a live workshop. You can do it self-study. You can watch the recordings, but it's really fun to actually go through it live. There's a workbook, and the whole idea is to get really connected to what you've got and how you can leverage it as a coach, and start to figure out who would be your most ideal client, both in terms of your heart and your financial. And then we even talk about, like, how do you start getting those first clients with those people in mind, so you can start to articulate what it is that you've got so that people can hear you as that resource. The tuition for that is $295. And if you aren't in our program, because it's included with most of our trainings, we'll actually apply that $295 to a tuition. If you said, I want to check this program out, you could come, and then we'll give you a coupon so you could apply for actual certification. So, yeah. Other than that, I would love to hear any feedback or any questions. If you feel complete, I hope to see you again on another webinar. I'm not sure what's next. I'll have to go look. I'm in New York time. My brain's not here, but it will be back. Yeah. Any questions or anything before we wrap up? Anyone?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I don't think we went into too much depth today, but just the concept of how do you charge for the type of coaching that you do, and how do you place a value on that? It's obviously you get the intrinsic satisfaction, but when you start to think about objectively, how do you charge for that? Kind of. Yeah. And I think you mentioned something about it's also the in your mindset, you have to feel that the value for what you're providing. So I think that's something which I probably would need to understand more about. Yeah. Coaching on, right?
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing is, remember I talked about the person that was making $35,000 a month doing something pretty obscure, and my little sarcastic practical self was like, really? And I'm like, wow. Well, she was really, really clear with who she helped, how she could help it, and all of her marketing was so, this is you or this isn't you. And so I hate to say it, and I learned this also from Tony Robbins in one of his workshops, is that it's 95% being radically clear and effective with your marketing. And then once they're in the door. And so when someone says, how much do you charge? And a part of you that goes, oh, I don't know how much to say. The first job is to work with that mindset that you're worth it and that what you offer is not just a transaction, it's a transformation. And then the second piece is really learning how to market yourself in a way. And I say that authentically, there's no gimmicks, but the most important part is that, people kind of know what they're signing up for and they see the value before they have to ask for money. Yeah. So it's not, I always kind of go, oh no, when someone says, I'm going to go and research how much I should be charging. It's like, oh great, you're defining your value by someone else's website. No, don't do that. No. So, yeah, great question.
Thank you, Ferocia. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else, anyone?
Ferocia, I was hoping to have just kind of a quick overview of the coach training program that you offer. I don't know, it sounds like some people are actually in that program right now, but I've just kind of run across you all.
Yeah. Bye, Katie. Katie's probably going to go to bed. So when you say that, are you talking about our signature whole person certified coach program?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little bit, good, I'm going to bed. So back in the day when we first started, we had our coach training program, which is what's called our whole person certified coach program. And that's 6 different coach trainings. And then on top of that, you can get a second credential from the International Coach Federation, which is basically you're completing the additional requirements above and beyond the coach training. And so, our program basically starts with Discover You, where everyone can start to kind of orient towards their niche. And I always tell people, bring out your compass, but be prepared to see something that might surprise you. Because while you're training, the second half of the program, you'll learn so many different tools and you'll go like, oh my God, I could use this over here. And I see people changing their niche, but it goes Discover You, then the coach training part, and then the ICF part. And then you can get both a certificate from the school while you're getting your ICF requirements done. And then once you've completed those additional requirements, you can apply for the ACC, hi Becky, and the PCC. So that's really high level, and I'd be happy to talk with you. Like we could do a one-on-one too. Yeah,
That'd be great. Thank you.
yeah.
I'm going to sign off. Bye-bye, Ferocia. Thank you,
All right,
guys. It's
bye,
nice
Neil.
to meet all of you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I have to go too.
No worries. Take care. I'm just here to answer questions. If we're all done, then it's 4 o'clock in New York. That seems so weird to say because I'm an East Coast girl. Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you very
bye,
much.
Robin. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone?
I was
Going
going to
good?
stay and listen to questions.
I know.
You never know what little gem's going to come out.
I know. It's usually those after hours conversations, right? So.
Yeah.
I have one for Russia. I'm interested in the professional coaching, and we spoke about it. We had our one-on-one. If I were to sign up for that now, I think the first class was July. I would be done by October. Is that correct?
You would be done with the training by October, and you could do the ICF part in between, or you could do it starting in October too. But you could be on your way with those certificates by I think it's the 4th week of October. Yeah.
So then if I add the Coachpreneur to it, is that after I'm done with everything?
You could decide when you start with the Coachpreneur. I would probably recommend starting it like in October. And the only reason is it's a bit of work,
Okay.
And I just tell people that because we have people that are in the program that are doing Coachpreneur, but they don't have much else in their life going on, not like that in a good way. So,
No, I get it.
yeah.
The job I have now, I could do my classes and things even while I'm at work. It's really flexible. But I have applied and interviewed for a supervisor position, which will not allow me much time to do anything. And I really, I was just thinking if they offered it to me, I would want to turn it down because I want to do this and I would like to start my own business with it. So it's a big decision for me, either, you know, take this other job, is move up and take supervisor, or stay where I am and work on my own thing with the life coaching, which is what I really want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that it will require a lot of, you know, time to complete.
Yeah. But it's well worth it because then you'll be totally set up to get clients all the time. And I'm still working off of stuff I created 20 years ago. You know, when I first started my coaching business, it was like, and I love that. Anything else that would be helpful?
I have a question. I don't, did you want to still be recording or did you want to shut it off? I didn't know if you wanted to.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. I don't know.
It's easy